Then the Lord said to me,
This day I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, that they may know, as I was with Moses, so I will be with you.
And I felt the weight of those words burn into my soul, for I knew this moment would not only prove me, it would reveal him. So I spoke to the people, Come near and hear the words of the Lord your God. By this you shall know that the living God is among you. The priests bearing the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth shall set foot in the Jordan, and its waters shall be cut off, standing in a heap. So it was, when the priests who bore the ark of the covenant went before the people, they set their feet into the waters of the Jordan, swollen and overflowing in its flood. When all the people had crossed, the Lord spoke to me again.
Take 12 men, one from each tribe, and command them to carry 12 stones from the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood firm.
So I called the men, and I told them, Lift these stones upon your shoulders, and carry them to the place where we will rest this night. For they shall be a sign among you. When your children ask in time to come, What do these stones mean to you? You shall tell them how the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. These stones will stand forever as a memorial to Israel. And there, in the river's heart, I set up 12 stones where the priests had stood, and they remain to this day.
I got a squeaky seat. Y'all ready to worship? Y'all ready to learn from the Bible?
When all I see is the battle, you see my victory. When all I see is the mountain, you see a mountain move. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. There's nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. So when I fight, I will fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. the shadows, you in every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You in every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. So when I fight, I will fight on my knees. Do that every time. You in every battle. Now just get sing high again. Stand against the power of our God. So when I fight, I will fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Everything right at your feet. I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Man, Pinnacle Church, you need to get a worship leader. Time to get the words right.
When we crossed the Jordan, word spread through the land. The kings of the Amorites, the Canaanites by the sea, they trembled. For the waters had obeyed the Lord, and we walked through on dry ground. And their hearts melted. Their courage was broken. Before we raised a sword, the Lord had already won the battle.
Make flint knives and circumcise the sons of Israel.
My hands trembled as I lifted the blade. It was not battle he required, but surrender. So I obeyed. The sons of Israel, uncircumcised, unmarked, were cut, and the camp groaned in pain. We lay still, defenseless, waiting, yet his hand kept us safe.
Today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you.
And in that moment, the weight of our shame was lifted. Gilgal, the place of our disgrace, removed. There, we became his people once more. That night, we kept the Passover on the plains of Jericho. And the next day we ate from the land, bread, roasted grain, the fruit of promise. And the manna ceased. No longer did heaven feed us, for the Lord had given us the land. We tasted his promise with our own lips. Near Jericho I looked, and there he stood, a man with sword drawn, radiant and unshaken. I cried out, "Are you for us or for our enemies?"
Neither. But as commander of the Lord's army, I have now come. Remove your sandals, for this ground is holy.
There I knew the battle was not mine, but the Lord's. And across the plain, Jericho trembled. Its gates slammed shut, its walls sealed. None went out, none came in. The hearts of its warriors melted in fear, for the Lord of hosts had come. I looked upon those towering walls, yet I knew they were already broken.
See, I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and mighty men of valor. You shall march around the city, all the men of war once each day, for 6 days. 7 priests, with 7 trumpets of ram's horns, shall go before the ark. But on the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. And when you hear the long blast of the ram's horn, then all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city will fall down flat, and my people shall go up, everyone, straight before him.
You like these videos? Nice and intense. Jared's like, I want to run through a big brick wall. Yeah, Joshua's awesome. Yeah, awesome book. So I'm ready to get started here, get a lot to say. Everybody got a handout? If you don't have handouts, they're here somewhere. There we go. All right. Everybody go home, get a nap, get your belly full, get charged up, come back, learn about the Bible. Okay, awesome. Me too. All right, I'm going to jump in because we got to cover a fair amount of ground tonight, okay? You got the microphone, Ray? I hope there's batteries in it. We'll soon find out. Yeah, he says there is. All right, here is our outline. Not going to read the whole thing, but there it is. What is today? The 19th of July, number 5. We're tiptoeing through this thing. It's the Conquest and the Judges, right? Okay, so let's dive in. Conquest and the Judges. So far, we've covered the first 5 books of Moses, or otherwise known as the Torah, the law. Yep. Tonight, we'll cover the next 3 books of the Old Testament, number 6, number 7, and number 8. You got the microphone, Ray?
Joshua, Judges, and Ruth.
And it's going to be a little strange tonight, right? Because the pattern of these 3 books will be this. First, the men will love it, then the men will love it, and then the women will love it. Because it's going to be war and violence, then it's romantic love story. Okay? So we're moving from the first division of Scripture, the law, into the second division of Scripture of the Old Testament, which is Old Testament history. And we're going to be covering 12 books in total. These 3 books will cover a time that spans from the Israelites being in the wilderness after leaving Egypt up to the time when they had their first king named Saul. Okay? So here's our timeline that we're using for this class. And so far you can see we started right here. The first week we did was there a mouse pointer right there? Get out of here. Ready? Go. Go. Right? Go. There it goes. There's a flyer or something up there. The first one we did on the book of Genesis, it covered 2,350 years of biblical history. It was these 3. And then we got into Moses, the 10 plagues, the Red Sea, Mount Sinai, then the wilderness. Tonight we pick up right here with Joshua, who enters the promised land. After him is the time of the judges, and at the end of the time of the judges is where we get the book Ruth. Okay? All right, so that's where we're at. It should be the first thing on your handout. Okay? All right, so you ready to dive into the book of Joshua? Anyone in here ever read the book of Joshua? Few of us? Yeah. Wyatt's like reading the whole Bible in like a year or something. He's like chewing it up. He's like, man, Judges is hard. No, it's not that hard. It's actually fun. Judges, I think, should be, like Taylor Sheridan should make a movie about the book of Judges. Just saying. All right? So Joshua, this is one of my favorite books of the Bible. Totally awesome. So there it is, Joshua, which his name is actually pronounced Yeshua, which is the same name as Jesus, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I'm just, quick summary. Last week we covered Israel leaving the bondage of slavery in Egypt, crossing the Red Sea to the wilderness, where they end up wandering around for 40 years. They didn't have to, but they did because they were complainers. If you're a complainer, stop complaining, because God will just make you waste your life, okay? Just helping you out. During that time, as Moses led the people, Joshua was his right-hand assistant, okay? When Moses would go into the tabernacle to meet with God, Joshua would go with him. Now, we're at the point, Moses is dead. And Joshua is about to lead the Israelites out of the wilderness and now into the promised land. Okay? So, Ray's going to read some facts about the book of Joshua. Go ahead, Ray.
Name, the Lord is salvation.
That's what Joshua's name means. Just a little side note here. Moses actually renamed him. His name was the Lord, I think it was the Lord God saves, and he changed it to the Lord is salvation. Go ahead, Ray.
Time, 1390 BC. 24 chapters, written by Joshua.
Yeah, written by Joshua. Now, as you can see, just a reminder, those underlines up there are your cue that there's a blank space in your handout. Fill it out, okay? What's our key verse, Ray?
Only be strong and very courageous, being careful to do according to all the law that Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may have good success wherever you go.
Wherever you go. It's a good memory verse. I remember learning that years ago when I was a teen leader. Great. There's a few of them. Joshua 1:7, Joshua 1:8, Joshua 1:9. All great verses to memorize, okay? Only be strong and very courageous. Just a little side note, if you read the first chapter of Joshua and you go read the last 3 chapters of the book of Deuteronomy, God keeps telling him over and over, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous. Now, why would God say that? Because he's not. He's scared to death to step into the shoes of Moses, this spiritual giant, okay? Like if you're ever in a season of life when you have to follow in another leader's footsteps who made a great impact before you, the book of Joshua is probably the book to go study, okay? Imagine stepping into Moses' shoes after everything he's led God's people in. Imagine that. Okay, the picture of Jesus. Where do we see Jesus in the book of Joshua?
Picture of Jesus, commander of the Lord's army.
He's commander of the Lord's army. We just saw that in the video, right? I talked about it this morning in the sermon. The original audience for the book of Joshua was this.
Ancient Israel living in the promised land after Moses' death.
Okay. Just a reminder, it wasn't written for us here at Pinnacle Church. It was written to that group of people. All right? I always say this. It cannot mean to us what it did not mean to them. Okay? All right. What's the purpose of this book? There's 3 purposes.
Number 1 is to prepare Israel to be a nation. Number 2 is to record the record of successful military campaigns. Number 3, emphasize the importance of obedience to God.
Yeah, it's kind of important to be obedient to God. Just saying that. If this is your first day at church, it's important to be obedient to the Lord. Okay? And our outline, 3 big parts. Okay?
Conquest of the promised land, chapters 1 through 12. Dividing of the promised land, chapters 13 through 22. And Joshua's final words, which are chapters 23 and 24.
Yeah, and those final words are going to be kind of haunting when you see where we go in the book of Judges, okay? All right, so let's unpack the first part, the conquest of the promised land. You can break this down into 2 parts.
preparation of the people, 1 through 5, and progression of the conquest, 6 through 12.
Okay? So let's unpack that first part, the preparation of the people. All right. So following Moses' death, after being commissioned by God, God tells Joshua over and over, be strong and courageous. And God promises his constant presence and gives the directive to meditate on the law. We read this in Joshua 1, verse 1 through 2.
After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, I love this. Love this. Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving you to them, to the people of Israel.
It's legit. It's legit. Yeah. All right, so I want to give you a little context because I know we're Americans and we like it simple. So I'm going to give you some pictures. It's going to be like McDonald's. Like they don't take your order now. They have these little kiosks and hamburger, French fries. Here we go. All right. So this would be a picture of the world. On the other side of the world, not us, right? And you can see Africa here. Obviously, there's Libya, Sudan, all these countries, right? There's Egypt. Obviously, they've come out of Egypt, and they went across the Sinai Peninsula. They didn't cross on this side. They crossed the Red Sea over here at Nueve Beach. They go over here, and they wander around. Now, you can see Israel's right here. This is modern-day Israel. And so when they cross the Red Sea, they go wandering in circles for 40 years over in this area, okay? Next picture's kind of zoomed in. All right, so now we're looking, as I said, Nueve Beach is down right around in here. They cross Nueve Beach, they circle around, and God's trying to lead them eventually to this place that he's promised to give them. I want to point out two bodies of water. It's kind of hard to see here, but up here is the Sea of Galilee, right? On the northern edge is Capernaum, where Jesus' headquarters of his ministry was. And then the Jordan River runs all the way south down to this. Anyone want to take a guess at what this is? Dead Sea. Dead Sea. Two big bodies of water connected by the Jordan River. Can you bring that next picture up? This is kind of a smaller version to see what we're looking at. So here's the Sea of Galilee, Jordan River flowing south into, call it the Salt Sea, but it's the Dead Sea. Just to point something out real quick, some of you watch the news and you hear them say these names, these certain locations like the West Bank. When they say West Bank, they're talking about the West Bank of the Jordan River. So I don't know if you know this or not, but on the top left, there's a compass. So west is that way. So over here would be the West Bank, and over here would be the right bank. Okay? Making sense? That's what those TV people are talking about. I'll just point something out here. They are going to enter into the promised land across the Jordan River right about here, just north of the Dead Sea. And you saw in the video, they're going to end up at a place called Gilgal, right? And over here, I'll just point this out. In the north, there are 15 hostile, evil, God-hating kingdoms. Down in the south, there's 16. Over here, there are 2, Og and Sihon. Total of 33 hostile empires they have to face. Okay? Making sense? All right. First one they have to face is Jericho. You saw this in the video. You've heard this story, right? In chapter 2, you hear the story of Rahab and the spies. Joshua sends 2 spies into Jericho to do some recon, and a Canaanite prostitute named Rahab, she hides them, demonstrating her faith in the God of Israel, and she actually secures protection for her own family. It's a really cool story. You ought to read it. Matter of fact, side note, go read Matthew's lineage of Jesus. Rahab is in the lineage of Jesus, a prostitute. Just saying. Like, you don't know about my past. Well, check out Rahab. The Lord used her in a mighty way. Okay? All right? Chapter 3, it's time to cross over the Jordan River from the wilderness into the promised land. And just as with the Red Sea, the Jordan River miraculously parts as the priests carry the Ark of the Covenant. It's a real cool story because when they cross the Red Sea, Moses goes up and raises his staff, right? Not now. See, now they got warrior mentality. God says, when you step into the water, I'll part it. He's like, take a step of faith. As soon as their feet hits the water, boom, it parts. They cross on dry ground, it says. Okay? Then the Israelites set up 12 memorial stones to remember this event for future generations as they set up camp at a place called Gilgal. And it says specifically there in chapter 3, those 12 stones are still there to this day. No one's been able to find them, but they're there. When we get to chapter 5, this new generation of Israelites is circumcised. That would be brutal, just saying. Glad it happened to me when I was in the hospital when I was a baby. And they celebrate Passover. Okay, and at this point, Joshua is contemplating, how am I going to conquer this city that I'm looking at called Jericho? More pictures, you ready? This is what Jericho would look like, okay? As you can see, it's not one wall around Jericho, it's 2 walls. Right? Like, what or how are we going to do this? Okay? This should give you some perspective. Well, what do these walls look like? They're not like your backyard fence. That next slide will show you exactly what they look like. If you look down here in the bottom right, those are soldiers. This isn't your grandpa's retaining wall. This isn't Ray's retaining wall behind his house. It's about that high. Like, oh, that's easy. We'll climb right in. No. No, you can see here they've got this stone retaining wall right here. That's 12 to 15 feet high just itself. Then above it, you've got another mud brick wall, which is total of 25 feet. Oh, you get over that wall, then you've got this steep incline where you've got another set of these walls on top. Total of 46 feet to the bottom of this wall. Yeah, pretty insurmountable, I would say, right? And so Joshua's sitting there thinking, God's telling him, you're going to lead my people. And Joshua's thinking, man, how am I going to accomplish this? Right? How in the world are we going to get inside the city to conquer this? And then we read this in Joshua 5, verse 13.
When Joshua was by Jericho, he lifted up his eyes.
So let me ask you something. Why would he lift up his eyes? What's that? But why were his eyes down? Why do you put your eyes down in church? He's praying. He's praying. He's seeking God's guidance. Doesn't have the answers. Look what happens.
When Joshua was by Jericho, he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man was standing before him with his drawn sword in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, are you for us or for our adversaries?
So this drawn sword deal, this is like an act of war. This isn't like in his sheath. No, he's like, got his sword out. Like, whoa, brother, you coming to fight, or you for us or against us? Talked about this morning, okay? He's not sure if this guy's on his side, the enemy's side. Look at this guy. His answer, what's he say?
And he said, no, but I am the commander of the army of the Lord. Now I have come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and worshipped and said to him, what does my Lord say to his servant? And the commander of the Lord's army said to Joshua, take off your sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy. And Joshua did so.
Boy, his tune changed pretty quick, didn't it? You for us or for our enemies? He's like, no, I'm the commander of the Lord's army. And he gets down and worships him. Now, he knows, because he was there with Moses the whole time, the first 5 books of the Bible, it says, do not worship angels. This is no angel. This is Jesus in the flesh. I like that video. I wish it would have showed Jesus more, because he's my favorite person to ever live. Right? So this is Jesus in his glory. And this meeting with Jesus leads to the second phase of it's the progression of the conquest. He's like, here, I'm going to give you the secret to unlocking the door to conquer this place. Go ahead.
Now Jericho was shut up inside and outside because of the people of Israel. None went out and none came in. And the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand with its king and mighty men of valor.
Wouldn't that be a cool meeting? Lord just meets you face to face. He's like, you see how scared they are? You've already won. I've scared them today. If you were to see Jericho where it would sit, if you were to go there today and look and see the Jordan, the people of Jericho saw the Jordan River part, and they saw 2 million Jews cross on dry ground. They're like, their God's the real deal. Katie barred the door, shut everything down, and they're just like, we're waiting to die. Okay? It's basically what's happening. So Joshua goes on to tell Joshua Jesus goes on to tell Joshua, I'm sorry. Joshua? Yes, Joshua. Jesus tells Joshua, which his name is Yeshua, so Yeshua tells Yeshua, I guess. For 6 days, have the people march around the city walls 1 time a day. On the 7th day, do it 7 times, then blow your trumpets. Yell as loud as you can, and the walls will come tumbling down. I'm just going to throw this out there, because some of us Christians can over-spiritualize some things. I had someone years ago tell me they thought the church should own a certain building, and they said, I think the Lord's telling me that we should march around that building for 7 days. I was like, no, that's a unique story, man. That's not like the normal thing. It's a one-time thing in human history, okay? Just throw that out there. So they end up, they do this exactly, and sure enough, it works. And this marks the beginning of, who's got the mic?
3 military campaigns to conquer the Promised Land.
I like this. You guys will like this. Sorry, ladies. Just hang on for a few. We'll get to the love story. 3 major military campaigns, right? So let me show you a picture of kind of what this looks like. This is in your handout, okay? Right down here is Gilgal. They cross right here. Here's Jericho. They're going to go on to Ai. They're going to begin to work themselves south. It's like divide and conquer. They split the center, okay? They split the center, then they work their way south. Then they regroup at Gilgal, and then they work their way north, okay? It's kind of the way it works, just so you know. Divide and conquer. God came up with that, okay? Where am I at? Okay. So in total, Joshua will lead the Israelites in conquering a total of 33 kings in their respective territories, 31 on the west bank, 2 on the east bank. Starting with this, number 1, this central campaign. This is chapters 6 through 9. Okay, we're going to go quick here. Chapter 6, we see the fall of Jericho. God had given them specific instruction. When they go into Jericho, this is cool. He tells them, he's like, listen, it kind of reminds me of the story of back in the Garden of Eden. He's like, you can have anything you want except for this one thing is devoted to me. What do you think happens? One man violates this command by God. God says, the gold, the silver, the iron, that's all my stuff. We're going to use it for later. That's mine. You can have the rest. And you pillage the place. Man named Achan, he's like, rules don't apply to me. So he takes the gold and he goes back and he buries it in his tent in the camp. They go up to the next city. It's called Ai, and it's not even a city. It's just kind of more like ruins, this small town. It's kind of like Bidwell, now that I think about it. It should be easy taken. They go up there and they get slaughtered. And Joshua comes back and he's like, he falls on his knees. He's like, Lord, what happened? And he's like, you got sin in your camp. He's like, what do you mean we got sin in our camp? Well, one of your people took things that belonged to me. Tell you what to do, Joshua. We're going to fix this. Get all of Israel in formation, and I tell you what, I'll point out the tribe, because there's 12 tribes. I'll point out the tribe. Then you go stand in front of the tribe, and then I'm going to point out the clan, because within tribes there was clans. Then within the clans there were families. He says, I will go and I will point out the one tent where this is at. Goes up, and it's a man named Achan and his wife and kids and livestock. He says, the Lord's not pleased with you. Come out here, Achan. Achan comes out with the gold. Lord says we have to burn you, your wife, your kids, your livestock, and your entire tent in front of Israel. They kill him, take care of his family. They go back to Ai and they take down Ai. God's not playing games. Okay? All right? Then we get in chapter 10, we get into the southern campaign. This is where this cool miracle happens at a place called Gibeon. Anyone know what happens at Gibeon? The only time it's ever happened in human history. Time stands still. God says, Joshua, tell the sun to stand still, and it stands still. It says the moon stood still. God says there's never been a day like it before, never been a day like it after. And what's cool about this, if you were to study this from a military standpoint, they go in the middle of the night, they sneak up over top of this like big mountain, and they're looking down at this Gibeonite camp, and Joshua has the sun stand still right behind the Israelite army. So when they come barreling down, the Gibeonites can't see them, they're blinded. It's amazing. Chapter 11 and 12, we get into this, the northern campaign. And these 2 chapters, they summarize decades of war, highlighting that God was fighting for Israel. Lots going on in 2 chapters. Then after all the fighting is done, okay, now it's time to do this, if I could talk right.
Fighting of the promised land.
Now it's time to divide the land up, okay? We've conquered it. Who gets what, okay? So there's 4 parts to this.
Unconquered land, East Bank tribes, West Bank tribes, designated cities.
Okay. Here's something interesting. God says here's something you need to never forget. By the way, if you were to look on a map today at Israel, and you go back and you read what God told Moses, like who's going to get what when it's all said and done, Israel still does not have what God promised would be theirs. Okay? Still don't have it. Okay? So God says there's some land that's unconquered yet. All right. So you have this in your handout. What you're going to see, you see the red? That's what they've conquered. But the green is what they have yet to conquer. Okay? This is going to be a problem because there's still some bad influence there. But later is going to be a problem for Israel. Instead of Israel influencing them, they're going to influence Israel. Okay? It's a little foreshadowing. Then we get into the East Bank tribes, the West Bank tribes. God's separating everything. He separates it like this. Go ahead and bring that next slide up. You've got this in your handout. This is what God tells them. This tribe gets this tribe gets that. You can see Judah's down here in the south. This is where Jerusalem will be later. Okay? I like pictures. It's not, I know that's kind of boring. I'll keep moving on. Then we get into the designated cities. Okay? Here's something interesting just throw out. Who's got the mic? Go ahead and read it.
Designated cities are the 6 cities of refuge and 48 Levitical cities.
Don't mean to get political, but the whole idea of sanctuary cities, Americans didn't come up with, just letting you know. God did. Okay? I'll let you read about the cities of refuge on your own. There's 3 on the East Bank, 3 on the West Bank. But in these cities, like if you committed involuntary manslaughter, you could go to these cities and you could get like a court date and defend your innocence. Like it was self-defense, that kind of thing. Okay? Modern politicians have abused God's idea about this, but anyway, moving on. Then there's 48 Levitical cities. Levitical cities were the cities throughout Israel where the priests would live. Okay? Then to finish off the book of Joshua, we're moving quick, man. We have this.
Joshua's final words.
So-
Warnings, keep the law of Moses, no other gods, no intermarriage with unbelievers.
Yeah, and I don't mean to go preacher mode. God's people still have a problem with that one. Let me get here so everybody can see it. No intermarriage with unbelievers. It's been a problem for like 6,000 years. Going all the way back to Genesis chapter 6. It always leads to turmoil, destruction. Okay? Just saying. All right, then he gives a final challenge.
Final challenge, fear the Lord and choose this day.
You ever heard this? Choose this day. He lays it down. He's getting old. He knows his days are numbered. He's like, hey, listen, Israel, let's have a chat. Okay? Joshua 24, verse 15.
And if it is evil in your eyes to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your father served in the region beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
I'm sure you've seen that before in someone's house, in their kitchen. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Okay? We say that. Yeah, don't we sing a song? What is this song?
Brandon Lake wrote a song. Me and my home.
Yeah. And this is the very end of Joshua's life, which is going to lead us into the time of the judges. This is pretty quick. High five, Pastor Jamie. You're not talking very. All right. Questions before we move on. Any questions? Do you like that, Wyatt? Nice, short, and sweet. Very informative. That's his polite way. He's waiting on Judges. Judges is like a Jerry Springer show on steroids. Judges is legit. Right, Brian? A man of few words today. Okay, no questions on Joshua. No, we're good. Joshua's awesome. I was thinking about Joshua on the drive here. Like, Joshua nailed it. He got it done, right? Judges. All right, let's go on to Judges. 7th book of the Bible. Who's got the microphone? Chad Polsey. You ready for this? First of all, let me just say, Judges is the record that it's a book that records 330 years of Israel's history after Joshua's death and before the first kings of Israel. Okay? It's kind of a weird time. They just went through all this conquering, and now we're going to bridge before we get to kings. We're settling in here, and just so you know, what's a judge? Like, what's a judge? I'm like, Judge Brown, Judge Judy? No, this is different. Go ahead. Microphone.
Temporary civil and military heroes who served to rescue Israel.
Yeah. So these aren't judges in the courtroom, right, Matt? Yep. Listen, let me ask you something. Was the popcorn a great idea or what?
Yes.
Thank you, Chad. You can thank Chad for the popcorn.
You didn't get none?
Yeah, and the handouts like that? Okay, awesome. All right, what's our time period, Chadley? That was his idea, yeah.
Attaboy,
Hey,
Brian.
Jamie, I know you don't have nothing to do. Do you care to do a 14-page handout for us, too?
1380 BC to 1050 BC. There's
Yep.
21 chapters written by unknown for sure, but most scholars believe Samuel compiled it.
I'll get into that in just a minute, how that happened, okay? Keep reading.
Key verse. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes.
It's kind of like America. I didn't say that, but that's what they say, right? Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. This is kind of like it's the same thing that happened in the garden. Eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You can determine what's right and wrong. That's what's happening. It's crazy how we got here. It's crazy how just like a couple generations, like a biblical generation is 40 years. 40 years they're in the wilderness, and God's like, I got to let this generation die and create a new generation that can take the promised land with Joshua. After Joshua, all hell breaks loose again. It's crazy, okay? What's our picture of Jesus, Chad?
Judge and deliver, repeated through the book.
And I'm going to show you that in a minute. Over and over and over, you're going to see this.
The original audience is the Israelite nation during the early years of its monarchy.
So meaning Samuel compiled this for the people when they had Saul as a king later. Okay? This is a record of the things that happened during the period of the judges. Some of it was recorded during the time of the judges, but Samuel went and got it all together and compiled it into one book. Okay? So this is the book that covers 330 years of Israel's history between the time of Joshua, the time when Israel had kings, which is a time of spiritual chaos. For these 330 years, it's a constant cycle of downward spiraling, if I could talk. At the end of this time period, around 1050 BC, Saul becomes Israel's first king. That's also a train wreck. Wait till we get there. Okay? But between Joshua leading Israel and until Saul leads Israel, there's this 330-year time span where they have no clear national leader. Okay? God is supposed to be that leader, but the people fail to follow him as leader. At the end of the era of the judges, God raises up Samuel and to inaugurate this era of kings. And Samuel was regarded, we're going to learn about him in 1 Samuel when we get there, but Samuel was regarded as the last judge and the first major prophet after Moses. He will be the man that God uses to successfully navigate Israel's transition from a splintered confederation of tribes into a unified nation. Okay, we're eventually going to get, after Saul, we're going to get to David. It's going to be the best days in Israel's history, even better than today, all right? As Samuel serves God in this role, he compiles the history of the time of the judges. And most smart Bible scholar guys, they believe that he compiled it right around 1050 BC, right? He had 4 purposes in compiling this, okay? Who's got the microphone?
To record Israel's tragic moral decline after Joshua's death. Number 2 is to highlight how abandoning God leads to chaos. And 3 demonstrates God's enduring faithfulness. And number 4 proves that God's people need a righteous king to bring divine order.
There you go. Okay. Here's our outline. This is real simple. 3 parts.
Reason for the judges, rules of the judges, ruin of the judges.
Yep.
King to bring divine order. Is that right? Like I don't feel like that.
I don't know
Judges,
what that
king
is.
To bring divine.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Don't worry about that last part.
Okay.
But this is easy to remember. The reason for the judges, the rule of the judges, and the ruin of the judges. Yeah, it's going to go bad in the end. Imagine that. Okay? All right. Here's my disclaimer before we get going. This book is extremely disturbing. Man, if you read all of God's word, you're going to find some parts like, I will never preach that publicly. I'm not going to even.
Yeah.
I can't. Why apologize for it? God wrote it.
That's right.
I already talked about Song of Songs. You can read that in your own time and go do some scholarly research about what it's talking about. Good book to read on your wedding night, just saying. And there's some parts in Ezekiel I'm not even going to say it. Very, very graphic. What did you say? What chapter? Did you just say the chapter? I'm not saying it because. And Judges is pretty brutal too. Extremely, extremely violent. Okay? You ready to have some fun, Matt? Anyone here, like, you're a Yellowstone fan? You've seen nothing yet. Okay? You're like, oh, I was watching Yellowstone, and yes, I watch Yellowstone with a grain of salt, okay? But I'm like, I was texting my guys like, just when I thought this couldn't get any crazier, here we go to another level. Thus the book of Judges. Here we go, all right? The book of Judges begins with the death of Joshua. And right before he died, he commanded them to obey the commands of the law. He said, if you do this, you'll be able to show all the other nations on earth what God is like and how to have right relationship with him. But the opposite happens. Total failure happens, which leads to this, the reason for the judges, okay? While the conquest of the land was relatively quick and decisive, the settlement of the tribal territories was slow and cumbersome. You've got to remember this slide, okay? So far, at this point, the red is what they are occupying. The green is what's yet to be conquered. They've not pushed all of the enemies out yet, okay? This is what they're dealing with in the book of Judges. You tracking so far, Wyatt? Okay. Because there were still many pockets of resistance from the unconquered areas, the Israelites eventually settled on a policy. You've probably seen this bumper sticker, coexist. God says no coexist. What's that?
Sir, the red. You're talking like it was like pretty much like 330 years before they get to start the conquering the green part?
So in this 330-year period, these areas that are green, there's all these different people groups. Down here is Philistia. This is where the Philistines are, okay? Right. You know, David and Goliath. When you hear that story about David and Goliath, Goliath is a Philistine, okay? They're going to have these battles with all these groups. They have yet to push them out. So for 330 years, they're going to struggle with these people that live in the green area. Does that make sense? It's this constant battle back and forth. They've already got the red, but they don't have the green. Yes. Make sense? Okay. Okay. What they decide to do, it's like Israel's, like, it plagues them throughout their history. They start to lose courage, and they start to think, you know what, I'd rather take it easy. Let's just get along. Let's coexist. God says, no, coexist. No. And the reason for that is because you think you're just going to live peacefully. No, they're going to end up influencing you and making you chase false gods. That's what's going to happen. Okay? Like, well, I'll just get along with, I'll be in a business relationship with this person. They're a non-believer, but it'll be okay. No, it will not be okay. They will influence you at some point. Okay? It's a promise. Read the Bible. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, Pastor. Okay. Come to me. I'll meet you at the altar here in about 6 months when things go bad. Okay? All right. What this means is they are guilty of this. Microphone.
Incomplete obedience.
Incomplete obedience. Think about that statement for a minute. What does Pastor Marv used to say? Delayed obedience is disobedience. Right? It's incomplete. Well, I obeyed. Saul's going to do this later. Well, I obeyed part of it. It's incomplete. Okay? What's that mean, Mandy?
Israel fails to drive out the Canaanites, leading to cultural assimilation and moral compromise.
Okay, assimilation means, what's that? Becoming like. Becoming like. Okay? The failures of the Israelites are this.
Failure of the Israelites is religious compromise, moral corruption, and civil catastrophe.
Okay? Not good. What's the matter? They freaked out. Like, no, I don't want that microphone. Get that mic away from me. The mic doesn't have COVID, sister. Listen, that microphone does not have lettuce from Taco Bell on it. Someone like, what's he talking about? Just get on Twitter. I was just thinking the failure of the Israelites. Man, this sounds so familiar. Oh, like America. Number 1, religious compromise. 2, moral corruption. 3, civil catastrophe. Almost like what happened to Rome when they fell. Oh. So what's God do? He raises up the judges. Okay, what's their role and function? Microphone.
The role and function, deliverers. The primary role was military and political, specifically serving as saviors or rescuers who delivered Israel from hostile neighboring nations, Moabites, Philistines, etc. Leaders and arbitrators. They served as local arbitrators for tribal disputes and community leaders, but they lacked the administrative power and dynastic succession of later kings. Spirit empowered. Their authority did not come from the formal titles, but from the Spirit of the Lord, which empowered them with supernatural strength, courage, or wisdom for specific crisis.
Seems important, Spirit empowered, because when you learn about the judges, you're going to realize they definitely needed it, okay? And so here's what you're going to find out, Wyatt, you're like, Judges is hard. No, it's really pretty simple, because it boils down to this, okay? This is the book of Judges, easy to remember. Go ahead, microphone.
6 cycles of judgment. Othniel versus Cushan, Syrians. Ehud versus Eglon, Moabites. Deborah versus Barak.
You know, Deborah and
Or
Barak.
Deborah and Barak
And
versus...
that's not Barack Obama, just so you know.
Deborah and Barak versus Jabin and Sisera, Canaanites. Gideon versus Midianites, Arabs. Jephthah and versus Ammonites, Jordan. Samson versus Philistines, sea people.
Yep, got it? 6 major cycles, okay? And why 6 cycles? Why is it a cycle? Because we keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Who's got the mic? Go ahead, Kelly.
The reoccurring cycle. Then the people abandon God and worship idols. Servitude. God removes his protection, leading to oppression by neighboring nations. Supplication, the Israelites realize their mistake and cry out to God to rescue. Salvation, God graciously raises up a judge, a military deliverer to restore peace. And silence, upon the judge's death, the people fall back into sin, restarting the cycle.
Isn't that crazy? It's going to happen 6 times. Okay? And there are 2 categories known as the major judges and the minor judges. Okay? The book of Judges highlights 12 key leaders, traditionally categorized based on the amount of narrative dedicated to their stories. The difference is this: the major judges get a lot of content, the minor judges just get a little bit. Okay? But they're all really important. So, major versus minor judges.
Major judges, those whose heroic exploits and narratives are detailed at length. This includes Othniel, Ehud, Deborah, Gideon, Jephthah, and Samson.
Yep, good Hebrew names. They're good. You know, when you and Drew get married and you have kids, I think Jephthah is a great name.
I was going to say there's no Jephthah.
Jephthah Bryles. Jephthah Bryles, yeah, or Ehud. Yeah. All right, the minor judges. She's still giggling.
I was going to say Ehud sounds like when you stump your toe. Minor judges, figures who are summarized in brief biographical notices such as Shamgar, Tola, Jair, Ibzan, Elon, and Abdon.
Yeah, nailed it. That sounds good to me, right? And their character, this is important. Some of you are like, man, I'm going to read the book of Judges now. Read this, their character.
While they were divinely chosen to deliver Israel, the judges were often deeply flawed anti-heroes rather than perfect moral role models. Their stories illustrate that God can use imperfect, broken people to achieve his purposes while highlighting the era's overall moral decay.
Love it, Lord. Love it. Love it. Meaning, just like them, God can use us in a mighty way. Right? But at the end of the day, we're all flawed, right? The only one who can ever bring perfect order to things is who? Jesus, right? All right. So, these judges, they have imperfections. They're, as I would say, jacked up. Okay? Go ahead. Tell me their imperfections. Be prepared to be offended.
Ehud, left-handed. Barak, lacked masculine courage. Deborah, woman. Gideon, coward. Jephthah, son of a prostitute, made a reckless vow. Samson, adulterer, plagued by impulsive vendettas.
That's what they taught me in college.
That left-handed guy.
Like, I'm imperfect because I'm a woman. No. You got to wait till we get to the story. Okay? It's not, she's not wrong for being a woman. It's that God. Oh, don't try to change it. Listen. by the way, any left-handers in here? Yeah, you suck too. Good times. Hey, Brian, you sit there and shut up. Oh, man. Left-handed and a woman. Wow. Oh. See, Brian fits more. Brian fits more in the Barak category. He lacks masculine courage. I may have a left-handed woman. All right. So you ready to get into it? We having fun yet? The judges, woohoo, this is crazy. All right, the rule of the judges. Remember, we have 6 cycles, okay? Cycle number 1. Who's got the microphone? Love has the microphone. Let's go.
Othniel versus Cushan, Syrians, Judges 3, 7 through 11.
Not a whole lot there. Like, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 5 verses, okay? So Othniel is Israel's first judge and just so happens to be Caleb's younger brother. Caleb, he was one of the spies that went in to spy out the land back in the day, like way back in the day, alongside Joshua, his big name, okay? This is his brother.
Is that like a seat cushion?
Yeah, it's like a seat cushion. Kind of. Yeah. All right. So, Othniel. Who said that? You didn't come up with it. Robin did? Oh. Cushion. Straighten up them couch cushions. Gosh. Yeah. All right. So Othniel, that's a great name too. Just thinking. Othniel Briles. This sounds good. Othniel Briles. Being the first judge, he is regarded as the ideal judge. Okay? Yeah. He's the first. So he's kind of like, he's like the prototype of how it's supposed to be done. Okay? Hey, Rhonda, can we get some Ritalin up in here? All right. What's Israel's failures during this time?
Number 1, idolatry, worshiping false gods. Number 2, intermarriage with unbelievers.
Yeah. Okay, so who's our oppressor? Who's the bad guy?
Cushan, king of Mesopotamia.
What?
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia?
Tamia.
Mesopotamia.
There you go.
Did you get that in high school? Mesopotamia. It's a cradle of civilization, right? Mesopotamia, right? The length of servitude they served under Cushan was how many years?
8.
8 years. 8 years. Yeah. Their deliverance. What happened?
Othniel leads Israel into battle under the guiding of the Holy Spirit and wins easily.
Yeah, pretty awesome. What was our lesson?
True deliverance and leadership require the enabling power of the Holy Spirit rather than human might.
Remember that tomorrow when you go to work. Okay? Sorry. Time
of peace and rest, 40 years.
40 years. 40 good years. Yep. 40. Yep. Number of transition. Now we're about to have some fun. Some of you have never heard this story. You're like, I never knew how much I love the Bible. Cycle number 2.
Ehud and Eglon, the Moabites, Judges 3, 12 through 30.
Yep. Israel's failures.
Israel's failures. Compromise by aligning with unbelievers.
Yep. We're going to coexist and do business with them. Let's hang out. Not saying they're getting influenced the wrong way. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. The oppressor. Who is it?
The oppressor is King Eglon of Moab.
Okay. We'll learn about this guy in just a second. He's a fairly large fella. Length of servitude under him is how many years, Paul?
18.
And how did they get delivered, the deliverance?
That left-handed guy. The left-handed...
Left-hander out of the bullpen. His name's Ehud. Yeah.
From the tribe of Benjamin, delivers Israel from oppression under the exclusively overweighted...
The what?
Excessively overweighted King Eglon.
I'm going over here to stand with Moses and Elijah. Really, Jesus? That's
Just saying, I can help out, you know.
Moses, Elijah, do you hear this guy? The excessively overweight King Eglon. Ehud goes to visit this severely overweight king. If you go read Judges chapter 3, verse 17, it says, God says it, not me, very fat man. He's like 600 pounds. Fatty. Charlie calls me fat. Brother, King Eglon, he's a fatty. Okay? You know you're fat when God says you're very fat. Okay? So here's what happens. So Ehud is going to go give a tribute to the king on behalf of Israel because they're like trying to butter up, right? Politically. Before going into the king's presence, he crafts an 18-inch double-edged dagger and hides it in his garments on his right thigh. Okay? Here's why that's important. In that day, you would reach across your body to pull out your sword or your dagger. Okay? He's left-handed, so he puts it over here. Everyone else was right-handed and would put it on their left side. So when you would come into the king's presence, the guards would pat you down. And they would always look on your left thigh. But he's a lefty, so it's on his right. They never check him. It allows Ehud to bypass security under the guise of delivering this tribute. And when he goes in to meet with the king, he says, "King, I got a secret to tell you." The king's like, "Okay, tell me." He's like, no one can hear this. This big fat king, fatty, 2x4, can't get through the dressing room door. He's like, "Oh, you guys go out." Right? So, sends out the guards. Once they're all alone, Ehud and Eglon, Ehud pulls out the dagger and plunges it into the king's belly so far that the fat closes over the knife and Ehud has to leave it inside of his body. It says the fat closed over it. He's like, "I lost my knife. I guess I'll just leave it. Don't need that anymore." You know what it says next? It says that feces came out of his belly to the point that it covered his feet. It's in the Bible. Ehud locks the door, goes out, makes his escape through a window, and the guards are like, "He must be using the bathroom." And it says they're like embarrassed. They don't embarrass the king. They don't go in. So they're like, they wait a while, right? Gets to the point they're embarrassed. They're like, "This is kind of weird. We better go check on him," right? They get in there. It's too late. He's dead. And after Ehud escapes, he rallies the Israelites, and they slaughter around 10,000 Moabite warriors, right? Big turning point. So here's the lesson.
God can use the most unlikely and unconventional means to bring about his purpose.
There you go. Time of peace and rest. This is a long time.
80 years.
80 years. 80 years. Is that a cool story? You like that? Huh? Not enough violence. We got to ratchet it up. You ready? Let's go to cycle number 3. Right? Cycle number 3. Ray's going to read for us.
Deborah and Barak versus Jabin and Sisera, Canaanites. Judges 4:1-5, 31.
Okay, Israel's failures. What's going on here?
Israel's lack of spiritual motivation, lack of male leadership.
Uh-oh. See, this is where the woman thing comes in. I'm going to say this to the men. I've actually experienced this in ministry. If the men won't step up, God will get a woman too. Yep. That doesn't mean women should try to rule over men, because Jesus had to talk about that in Genesis chapter 3. Men are supposed to lead in their homes and in the church, okay? It's God's idea, not mine. You can be offended all you want. But if you refuse men to step up in this church or in your home, God will use your wife to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This is what's about to happen, okay? The oppressor, who is it?
King Jabin of Canaan and Sisera, his ruthless military commander.
I see he's probably mean, this is a real bad guy. Yeah? He's probably ugly, right? Length of servitude, how many years?
20 years.
Okay, and deliverance.
As the only female judge, Deborah directed the military commander Barak to assemble 10,000 men and attack and defeat the Canaanite general Sisera.
Sounds pretty cool, right? But Barak lacks courage. He's like, "I'll only go if you go with me." That's what happens, right? So she prophesies. She's like, this is how it's going to go in the end. You won't be the one to kill Sisera. Instead, it's going to be a woman, okay? So then she tells Barak, "Listen, go gather 10,000 troops for battle. Once they begin the battle, God throws Sisera's army into a panic. Sisera ends up, check this out, he ends up running for his life on foot. He finds refuge in a tent of a woman named Jael, who was an ally of the king. Jael says, Oh, you must be tired from your journey. Here's some milk. Let me help you lie down. I'm not making this up. Right? Once he's asleep, what do you think nice child does? Oh, take a tent spike and drive it through his temple. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye. Psycho.
Yes, it is.
Whoo! Don't date that woman, young man.
You know what Cindy said? Gotta sleep sometime.
Remember that, Brian.
Watch out for watch out for tent spikes, and watch out for warm glasses of milk. Okay, what's our lesson?
Courage and success come from trusting God's directives over human fear and reluctance.
Yeah. Time of peace and rest.
40 years.
40 years, the number keeps coming up. 40 years, number of transition. Okay, but then we start this cycle all over again. We're now in cycle 4. You liking this, Wyatt? This is good stuff or what? Urgh. Kill, kill, kill. That's what they taught us in the Marine Corps. So Giles like, kill, kill, kill. Sorry, I need to get back. Sorry, Lord. Cycle number 4.
Gideon versus Midianites, Arabs.
The Arabs. Yeah, that's right. Judges got
Arabs.
Ahab the Arab. Let the good times roll at Pinnacle Church. This is awesome, Lord. All right. Israel's failures. Try to speak right.
Number 1 is idolatry, worshiping false gods. Number 2 is the rejection of God's prophets.
Not good. Oppressor.
Midianites from Arabia.
Length of servitude?
7 years.
All right, so let me kind of explain what's going on here. Every year at harvest time, these Midianites, God says that they were like so many in number, they were almost like swarms of locusts. You couldn't even number them. They're just like everywhere. Like, I won't say that, but it says they came and they pillaged their crops and their livestock at harvest time. Okay, now the deliverance. Here's how it's going to work. Now, keep in mind, you can't even number them. They're so vast.
Using only 300 men, Gideon routs the vast Midianite army.
300 men. It's like that movie 300. Remember, what's that? The Battle of Thermopylae. Yeah, Spartans. They go up against Xerxes. What was the Greek commander? Oh, why am I going blank? They have 300 men in this mountain pass at Thermopylae against this massive army, and they end up losing. Not Gideon. He wins. Okay? Of course, he doesn't start out as this awesome military commander. He starts out as a coward. You read, he's hiding in he's threshing out wheat in a wine press. If you understand what that means, he's hiding. You don't thresh out wheat in a wine press. The reason he's there is because he's hiding. He's scared to death of these Midianites. He's like, I don't want anyone to see me. And Jesus shows up and he says, O mighty man of valor. Because he's saying that's going to be who you are in the end. He's calling him by his potential. Okay? He says, you're going to go and you're going to free my people. And Gideon, he's like, but I'm not courageous. I'm the weakest. I'm from the weakest clan in my tribe. And so he wants to be reassured. He puts out a fleece on multiple days. You probably heard that story. One day it's wet, and the next day it's dry. This is where God patiently develops him as a leader by first teaching him this lesson.
Before you can defeat your external enemies, you have to defeat your internal enemies first.
That's a good sermon point right there. God tells him to go into town where his family has erected an altar to the false god Baal. He says, go in there and tear it down. To this day, I don't care who likes this or not. please come, some crazy liberal person, come paint some rainbow stuff on these streets here in Vinton, and I will ask God that I can go tear down that demonic idol. I will go tear it down, and I will go to jail. I'm begging God to let that happen. Put up some false idol here in Vinton. Watch what happens. I will be in jail. Someone else will be preaching, and I don't even care. I know. Like, I'm crazy. Sorry, Wyatt. That's your pastor, okay? Just a thought I've had. Sorry, Lord, I didn't mean to share that publicly, but it's our secret. Okay? God, so after he does this, he's like, okay, we're going to start out small, little things. Go tear that down, and then I'm take you on. That's like pouring out half his popcorn. Like, what's happening? Janita, when you see popcorn, it's Matt's fault, just letting you know. So after he does this, God raises Gideon up to lead an army of 32,000 men, okay? God looks at this army of 32,000. He says, that's too many people. When you get victory, you'll think that it's because you're awesome. When you're not, so let's thin out this army, okay? So he tells Gideon, he says, tell the men, have this speech. Get them all together and talk to them and ask them, if any of you are scared at all, you need to go home right now, okay? So 22,000 leave, and it leaves 10,000 remaining. God looks at the 10,000 and says, still way too many. He tells Gideon, he says, take the men down to this water spring down here, and I want them to drink the water. And Gideon, I want you to watch how they drink the water. And so 300 men, they cup the water with their mouths like dogs would drink. They're looking up. They've got their eyes up, and they're drinking the water. Okay? The remaining thousands knelt down to drink, okay? And God says the 300 lappers, the way that they drink reveals that they always remain alert and vigilant. That's the 300 men that I will use to bring victory. Let me explain something to you at this point. The numbers really matter, okay? Who's got the mic? My wife. Sorry, I'll shut up. I'll be serious with her.
The Israelite army is 300 men. The Midianite army is 135,000 men.
What do you think those odds are? Any math majors? Not good. Yeah, not good. So God does this really cool thing. God says, here's the plan. Gideon, you ready? Totally awesome. Says every man will carry a torch, a clay jar, and a trumpet. The clay jar, imagine this is your torch. The clay jar goes over the torch to conceal the torch. Okay? And in that day, when you went into battle, for every 300 men, one man would carry a torch. But here, Gideon is reversing that. So when the Midianite army sees the torches, instead of realizing it's only 300 soldiers surrounding them, they think it's 90,000 soldiers surrounding them. When Gideon's men arrive at the Midianite camp at night, they throw down their clay jars to make this massive sound to wake them up. Then the torches are revealed, and then they blow their trumpets. The Midianite army goes into immediate chaos, and in their confusion, they turn on each other and destroy themselves with friendly fire. And Gideon just steps back and watches God work. Beautiful. Time of peace and rest.
40 years.
40 years, okay? This leads to cycle number 5.
Jephthah versus the Ammonites
Jephthah?
in Jordan.
Yeah, Jephthah.
Judges 10:6 through 12, and Judges 10:6 through Judges 12:7.
Yep, Israel's failures.
Idolatry, worshiping false gods, transactional relationship with God.
Weird. Okay, oppressor.
The Ammonites,
Length of servitude.
18 years.
Yep.
Jephthah. The deliverance was Jephthah, the son of a prostitute who was rejected by his family for his illegitimate birth, was elevated by God to be the head of Israel to defeat the Ammonites.
Yeah, pretty crazy story, right? So Jephthah starts out, he tries to go diplomacy route, peace through strength, right? After giving his best effort at diplomacy to resolve their dispute peacefully, he ends up leading Israel's army to the absolute annihilation of 20 Ammonite cities. It's a rock star, right? But there's a catch in all this. Before he's able to see a path to victory, he's not sure. He's trying to like make a deal with the Lord. He's like, Lord, listen, I'll make you a promise, right? He tells God. He says, if you give me victory, I'll sacrifice the first thing that I see come out of my house to greet me upon my return home. Not good. When he gets home, the first thing to walk out of his house is his daughter. Okay? Now he's got a real problem. And while some believe that he did actually offer her up as a burnt sacrifice, most scholars and level-headed people realize what happened was Jephthah gave his daughter up for service in the temple, and she was dedicated to be a virgin for the rest of her life, since human sacrifice was absolutely condemned by God. So if you got to work tomorrow, you get into this talk. What'd you do at church yesterday? Oh, I talked about Jephthah. Oh, I know about Jephthah. Then he killed his daughter. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He gave her up for service. Okay, that's what ended up happening. Okay, the lesson.
Vows made in desperation or ignorance carry devastating consequences, and God does not require rash, manipulative bargains for him to show favor.
Okay, pretty simple. Okay, time of peace and rest.
6 years.
This one leads to our sixth cycle. You've heard of this guy.
Samson versus the Philistines, the sea people, Judges 13:1 through 16:31. Can I just say,
Yeah.
Samson, he is the definition of a grunt. Was
Yeah.
he not? Samson was like, like this big, strong, big, strong Samson, but he was dumber than a bag of hammers.
He was.
That's a grunt, is it not?
Yeah, he was like those 11 Bravos in the army.
Strong as an ox. I mean, absolutely strong as an ox. Break your bones, but dumber than a bag of hammers.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a real piece of work.
Yeah.
Real piece of work, okay? It's funny. Sounds like you need to have a Matthew 18 talk. All right, Israel's failures.
Idolatry, worshiping false gods, moral and spiritual compromise, being content with subjugation under foreign rule.
I'm trying to expand our vocabulary here at Pinnacle Church. Right? She nailed it, subjugation. They're like okay with it. They're being subjugated, and they're like, it's okay. We'll deal with it. God's like, what are you doing? I sent you into the promised land to conquer it. You're just like, oh, I'll deal with it. Right? The oppressor.
Philistines.
And they're going to be a problem for a while. Okay? Length of servitude.
40 years.
That's a long time. Deliverance.
Born a lifelong Nazarite to barren parents, he was granted supernatural strength by God to liberate Israel from Philistines' occupation.
Okay? So his, see if you've ever heard this before. His story begins with an angel announcing a miraculous birth. Then his parents are commanded to commit his life to it's called the Nazarite vow. Okay? Maybe you've heard this before, but there's 3 parts to the Nazarite vow.
Do not touch or eat anything unclean. Do not drink alcohol. Do not cut hair.
Okay, now typically this Nazarite vow, this was for 30 days or 60 days or maybe even up to a year. But this guy, Samson, his entire life was dedicated to this. Okay, Samson and 2 others in the Bible were committed to this vow for life. It was Samuel and John the Baptist, the only other 2. Okay, Samson, he violates all 3 over time. He touches a dead lion. He eats a honeycomb that was inside its body. At a feast, he drinks alcohol, and in the end, he gets a haircut that leads to his demise. You've heard this story, right? And through his story, you see this, okay? This sounds fun. I'll just narrate his story briefly, okay? While he's traveling, he's attacked by a lion, and he rips it apart with his bare hands. It's like the Incredible Hulk. Urgh. Yeah. Like Bam Bam? Yeah. Then, after marrying a foreign wife that he was forbidden to marry, at his wedding feast, he gives a riddle to the Philistines on a bet. After pressuring his wife to give them the answer, she gives it to the Philistines. After losing the bet, Samson kills 30 Philistines and takes their stuff to pay off his debt. As he's doing this, busy over here, they take his wife and give her to his best man. He's not happy. So here's what he does. This is kind of weird, but this is what he does. Sounds like something Brian Hamilton might do. You know what he does, Brian? He captures 300 foxes. He ties torches to their tails and releases them into the Philistine grain fields to burn them to the ground. It's like Yellowstone, right? So the Philistines, they respond by killing his wife and his father-in-law by burning them alive. A little crazy. So Samson, he vows vengeance. As he's hiding out, his own people from Israel come to arrest him, 3,000 men. They bind him with ropes and they take him to the Philistines because they're trying to kiss some rear end, right? Then he breaks the ropes and he kills 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey. It's crazy. Weapons of opportunity, right? Like, I don't have any weapons, but that jawbone of a donkey will work.
I don't think that's what King James said.
What's that?
King James didn't say donkey, did it?
I don't know what to say. You've got the mic. Go ahead and say it. You're wanting to say it. I'm guessing it's a 3-letter word that starts with A. A double crooked letter. You sinner, you. Brian's cushion. Later, after he kills all these people with the jawbone of a donkey, later he falls in love with a man. Oh, I'm not. No, I'm sorry. I
don't
you
remember
wrong.
that story.
That was not, listen, man. That wasn't Samson, that was Brian Hamilton that fell in love with the man. Love this church, love this church. He falls in love with a woman named Delilah. Okay? The problem is, she's bribed by the Philistines to tell them the secret to his strength. After multiple attempts, she finally gets Samson to tell her his secret when he's exhausted. He reveals to her that his hair is what gives him his supernatural strength. One night, something about these women when men sleep. Man, I might move to the garage if I was you. One night, while he sleeps, what's that? Yeah. As he's sleeping, she shaves his head. The Philistines come, they capture him. Now, no longer having his supernatural strength, they cut out his eyes and they make him a slave in prison. Finally, they bring him out one night at this Philistine temple to be the entertainment, the sideshow at one of their parties. And as the Philistines are mocking him, he prays to God for strength one last time. God says, yeah, I got you. God gives him the strength. Samson pushes against the temple's 2 central pillars, causing the entire temple to collapse. The collapse kills himself as well as thousands of Philistine rulers, and in the process, he kills more enemies at his death than the entire time during his life. Pretty awesome story. Time of peace and rest was this.
20 years.
Okay? That's the 6th cycle, which leads into this.
Ruin of the judges.
It's pretty simple here. After Samson, Israel enters into a time of spiritual and political chaos. They enter into moral confusion to the point they end up in a civil war amongst tribes. This all leads up to the time of the kings of Israel. Any questions on the book of Judges? Did I straighten anything out for you, Wyatt? Did it help you? Bunch of psychos killing people and stuff? Yeah, you like it, don't you? You need to pray and repent. Okay? We good? No question on Judges? Ruth won't take any time at all. Sorry, ladies. I'm actually praying about preaching through the book of Ruth, maybe after this series we're on now. We'll see what the Lord says, okay? Book of Ruth. My wife loves this book. It's a love story, okay? So it's like war and violence, war and violence. Now it's a love story. So now we're into Ruth. So Ruth, the name. Who's got the mic? Go ahead, Brian.
Ruth.
You missed it? Do you have any more slides? Okay, so you just missed this one. Okay, so the name, it means ray of light and hope. Okay, the time period.
1050 BC, written by unknown.
End of the time of the judges. You got that part?
Scholars believe Samuel compiled it.
Okay. Yep. I'm trying to follow you. Okay. Key verse.
Ruth 1:16. Do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God.
Yeah. Amen. Okay. So let's get into this book real quick. The picture of Jesus is this. This might spin your head a little bit.
Kinsman Redeemer.
Anyone ever heard this phrase before? Kinsman Redeemer. Okay. I'm going to explain this to you pretty quick. All right. The original audience.
Ancient Israel during King David's reign.
Okay. This is the original audience. And the purpose was for this. 3 things.
To validate David's kingship, demonstrate God's providence, highlighting the kinsman redeemer as a redeemer of Gentiles.
Okay. Outline. 4 it's by the chapters. There's 4 steps, or what, if you want to say.
Ruth's determination, Ruth's devotion, Boaz's decision, family, destiny.
Yep. Or as Brian forgot to say, love's resolve, love's response, love's request, and love's reward.
Sorry about that.
The ladies need that, man. Love. We like love. Okay? So let's hit the first part real quick. Love's response. This is Ruth's, what?
Love's resolve.
Resolve. That's what I said. Whatever.
Not.
Hey, zip it. Love's resolve. Ruth's what? You guys say it.
Determination.
Okay. The story begins with a man named Elimelech and his wife Naomi. Okay, married couple. They live in a place called Bethlehem. You've probably heard of it. Oh, that's where Jesus was born, right? They live there when a famine hits. They do what you should not do. Instead of staying there in God's, where God has put them, to rely on God to get them through the famine, they decide to go somewhere else. They don't trust God, okay? So Elimelech makes the mistake of leaving God's people to go to the foreign land of Moab, okay? Then tragedy strikes. Elimelech dies, and their 2 sons die after they've married Moabite women. These 2 Moabite women are Ruth and Orpah. It's a weird name, Orpah. Not Oprah, but Orpah, okay? Elimelech's wife, Naomi, is left utterly destitute. No way of making her way through life, okay? Back then, women couldn't go work a job. They're just basically homeless, okay? Now a widow, Naomi decides to return to Israel, and she tells her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab. Orpah decides to leave, but Ruth demonstrates radical loyalty, and this is when she says, where you go, I will go. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Okay? This is where we get the love's response. This is Ruth's devotion. Okay? So now Ruth and Naomi arrive in Bethlehem as destitute widows during the barley harvest. This is where Ruth gleans the grain fields for leftovers so they could eat. Here's what gleaning would be. They would go through and they would harvest like the corn or whatever it is, and they would leave kind of the leftovers laying on the ground. Sometimes you go to an apple orchard and there's the drops, and they would let the poor people get the drops. Okay? So they're kind of panhandling. Okay? And she ends up in the field of a wealthy and noble man named Boaz. Some of you may have heard of his cousins. You can look that up online. Okay? Boaz happens to be a relative of Naomi. So when Boaz meets Ruth, he tells his workers to let her gather all that she wants. Then Naomi, she realizes that Boaz is known as a kinsman redeemer. Okay? Here's what a kinsman redeemer is. Okay?
A male relative who, according to the law, Moses had the privilege or responsibility to act on behalf of a relative who was in trouble, danger, or in need.
Okay, so some people read Ruth and it's like, none of this makes sense. Well, you kind of got to know some Hebrew culture and the law, some things like that, okay? So what's happening here is God's providence is at work quietly behind the scenes. This is where we get into love's request. This is
Boaz's decision.
Now the ball's in Boaz's court, Okay? Naomi instructs Ruth, I'll say it this way, to approach Boaz at the threshing floor. Look this in. She's like, hey, let's doll you up, girl. Let's put something seductive on you. You go to the threshing floor because he's going to go there, and it's kind of like the market where you'd sell your grain. Be like going to the stockyards if you're a cowboy. And he's got to stay there with his grain overnight to protect it. And Naomi's like, hey, Ruth, get yourself all dolled up, get you some makeup on, get you something seductive on, get you some of that good perfume on. When he's laying down at night, go snuggle up next to him, right? What's Boaz do? He does the right thing. He doesn't take advantage of things, but what he ends up doing, she's in effect trying to propose marriage to Boaz, okay? And so Boaz decides, he makes a decision to marry her, but there's this issue, okay? There's a relative who's closer in line to her and has first rights over him, which leads to chapter 4, okay?
Family destiny.
Yep, this is the reward. This is the payoff here, the family destiny. So Boaz goes to meet with the closer relative with the town elders at the city gate. When you hear about the city gate, this is kind of like the courthouse. This is where they did all their business, okay? And he makes this savvy business deal with the closer relative, and the closer relative agrees to give Boaz the right to marry Ruth. And the result, Boaz marries Ruth, and then they have a son. Yay! Great story. You like it? Love it. Check this out. You want to see something cool? Book concludes with a surprise genealogy about this son.
And the woman of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, a son has been born to Naomi. They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David.
Oh, here we go. Any questions on the book of Ruth? Great-grandmother. Yep. By the way, she was a Moabite woman. She was an Israelite. She's outside of the family of God. You go read the genealogies of Jesus. Go read Matthew. Outside of the family. She wasn't born from Israel. She was Moabite. Because it's referring to her. She was, if you read the story, it talks about her. She says, don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara, I think is her name, which means bitter. She's bitter that God has dealt with her this way, and she doesn't. She's lost her sons, right? And she doesn't have a grandson. It's almost like they call Jesus the son of David. He's not really his son, but it's the lineage. That's the language they're using. If you just go read chapter 4, it'll make sense to you. Yeah, I just picked that one verse. Right after, it gives even more detailed genealogy to end the chapter, to end the book. But, yep. David. Yeah, he's an interesting story, by the way. Literal redheaded stepchild. He's not this golden boy like you thought when he grew up. Wasn't like that. Any questions on the book of Ruth? No more questions. That help you guys out, these 3 books? That teach you some things? Did I miss anything, Brian? Yes. Ah.
All the warehouses, all the grains, it's all still there. In other words, a city under siege for long
Yeah. So I showed you that picture of the walls with the man down in the bottom right and showed how tall they were. We didn't just pull that out of thin air. That's from archaeologists that have dug it up and confirmed that's what it was like. Okay? Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, not that I'm aware of. People have tried to find, because I've studied a lot of that stuff, the Exodus route and all that history, and that's one of the things, like Lot's wife being turned to a pillar of salt. You go over there, there's pillars of salt everywhere. And they'll say, well, that's it, and that, they don't know. The same thing with the stones at Gilgal. It's supposed to be a circle, 12 stones, one for each tribe. God says they're still there to this day, but no one's really confirmed it for sure. So, any other questions? Wasn't any. Yep. 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 Yeah, and we're about to go into the kings, and they're going to get Saul, and he's a mess. But eventually we get David. A lot of cool stories in there. David's a mess too. David's an absolute mess. Then you get Solomon, his son, born from Bathsheba. And then Solomon makes a bunch of mistakes, and then his son creates a civil war. It's just, yeah. Eventually Jesus will come. Yeah, we're just a mess as humans, and we need Jesus. Okay? All right. Love Brawls, you want to pray for us?